No! Just like the... Is that a bug or my eyes freaking out? Anyway.
You just have too many monitors.
Yeah.
Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Pointless Discourse with myself, Hoppocalypse, and Itisdpayne.
I can hear clearly now that Hop's turned up.
Hey, I just looked at my Audacity and I was like, that's the tiniest waveform, and I've been talking. And even my clap was just like a boop. It's like boop.
So, for podcast listeners and YouTube viewers, we don't have a fun name for you guys. I don't think we ever talked about it. If we did, I forgot it. Because, hey, this is episode 223.
If you guys start talking in the comments, you can be discoursers.
Discourse. Then we'll have to make a Discourse server. A Discord server. There we go. That's what it's actually. Discourse. Yeah. And guess what? Neither of us will check it. But now welcome. It's fun and funny. I don't know if it actually is funny, but for everyone, it's only been a week. For us, it's been like 3.
2?
That's 2? 1.
2.
Kids next door. I don't know. We could just look at the calendar.
Yeah.
When did we record with?
It's
Blackjack?
a holiday. Oh no, we recorded one bookish episode. Not
Oh,
that
yeah.
far back. Not that far back.
It feels like forever. Oh, I'm in the wrong month.
The holiday. We recorded on a holiday.
We recorded. Oh yeah, on Memorial Day. Was it Memorial Day? I don't know.
I mean, according to my calendar, it was a Monday, and the only way we would record on a Monday is if it's for a holiday.
Yeah. So how was your holiday weekend?
I went to Cape May Zoo and sat at a distillery to read. So it was relaxing. I was, so there was a lady who was working at the zoo and she was standing in front of the camels. And I asked a question like, how long do camels live? And I think she said like upwards of 40 years. And the 2 that they had there were like 7 and 9. So relatively young, right? Mm-hmm. And then she was like, here, I have a quiz for you guys. She's like, what do camels store in their humps? Without a hesitation, I go, fat reserves. And she goes, oh, yes, correct. And the people in my book club that were with me were like, wow, couldn't even give her a chance.
And then you told her, like, don't worry. I had a zoo once.
No.
Those are some of my favorite clips.
Did I tell you I did have a dev for Planet Zoo pop into one of my streams once?
No. Well, you might have, but
it was much after all of that, but my zoo was glitching and it kept telling me that my elephant enclosure was bad, and I had an elephant that basically was swimming out to sea. And I was like, it all looks connected. And she was like, yeah, that's weird. Did you try this? I was like, please help me. I don't want my elephant to go away.
I'm already having problems with the frogs.
No.
That wasn't, I don't know, that was a glitch though.
No, that was me not realizing how the game worked.
That was a feature?
Oh my gosh, it's like 4 years ago and it's probably on my YouTube channel.
Yeah. Might be on TikTok.
I don't know that I had a TikTok then. That's how old this clip is.
One of my favorite things is people going to your, like, finding your TikToks now and then liking one of my comments, and I'm like, what is this?
People? I get follows, and I just let it sit.
Yeah, I post spam content, like literally about spam. Oh my goodness, I think I found the worst spam. Have I told you about the spam stuff? I can't remember.
I know you showed me the ranking system and all of that.
Okay, if you give me 1 second, I think this would be a fun little reaction for listeners and viewers of this flavor I have to do to test on Sunday. So give me 1 second. Okay. So, what I found out trying to get different flavors is that apparently they have limited edition spams. So, and then one of my viewers and friends found this guy, and it literally was, okay, it's for the content. And so, this is, I think, last year's Christmas special.
When does it expire?
Next year.
Oh, yeah, plenty of time.
Yep. For people who are only listening, this is Spam's limited edition figgy pudding. Flavor, spice, and everything nice. And you know what? It took me a while. This picture right here, that's Spam. Okay, that's not figgy pudding. That is Spam. It doesn't really show up on the camera too well. I was like, can I smell this through the camera?
I hope not. Then that has been expired. That can is
So apparently they only put I've learned a lot about Spam over the past 2 months. Was it 2 months? I don't know. It feels like forever. But they were like, yeah, Spam, they put the date on because that's how long, like by laws, they can keep it on the shelf. However, if the can has not been breached and everything, it should last theoretically forever. And I'm like,
yeah,
well,
that's true of all canned goods, technically, right?
Yeah.
As long as the seal is proper. You could, in theory, eat a can of Chef Boyardee in 2156.
Mm-hmm. So.
But I did go back in history. I was right. 4 years ago, and I have written Planet Zoo was an emotional roller coaster for me. And it's my video with the most views on this on my personal channel of 75 views. And I'm sure that's all of you guys just trying to figure out how many frogs I've inbred.
one view per frog. I remember it because that's because I think we knew each other. And,
knew of each other,
but like we weren't like the friends that we are now. And so it was like, I remember it was just like, I remember saying something and you're just like, no. Just like is that a bug or my eyes freaking out? Anyway,
you just have too many monitors.
Yeah.
If we had someone we could pay for an editor, I would have them in the YouTube video just pop that
in. Yeah. But if we want to pay an editor, we have to make a Patreon.
Start that Patreon. And if you see one, it's the other guys.
Yep. And and for us to do that, we would need to justify it, which means we would have to have more than the listeners that know us personally. So, that's a call to action for all y'all. Hey, tell a friend, tell an enemy, tell that weird guy that lives down the street with 3 nostrils.
And if you guys like listening to us talk about any sort of media, because we've got lots of movie episodes. We've got some TV episodes. We have more TV episodes coming up. Now we have multiple book episodes.
Yeah, not just the one from a charity event. I don't know. I do enjoy this whole series, and I would love to do it more. But I also know I don't read. I don't have
enough.
Yeah.
Or not. Yeah. Because I know I'll read like 12 books a month on a good month.
Like I'm currently reading. I don't want to talk too much about it because I only have
You also read really, really dense books.
Not the last couple. I'm in the middle of All the Lovers in the Night by Miyako Kawakami.
Okay.
Because I liked her other books and I was like, it was on sale, so I got it. And I started that this week, and I will be finishing it tomorrow unless something terrible happens. Because I have a little bit over an hour left. I got like a whole bunch of like shorter books, and I'm like, I need to knock these out before I start these chunkers.
Mm-hmm.
So, I also had to use my Audible credits because they're like, if you don't use them, they expire, and I'm like, I wish they wouldn't. So
That's why I kind of like stopped using Audible, because I couldn't use enough credits. Because while I do use audiobooks, I'm kind of like a maybe one audiobook a month, and then a whole bunch of like library books or digital books.
yeah.
But now that I drive into the office once a week and nobody talks to me while I'm in the office, so I can just have like one of my like earbuds in and I can just sit there and listen to books. I do listen to more.
So what you're saying is that we could record a podcast episode on those days.
It'll just be silent ones, so I'll be typing out.
It'll be, mine will just, you'll hear men yelling in the background.
But they might say things that you don't want heard by other people, based on what we talked about before.
True.
True.
You know what? That's a good segue for... Hey, let's talk about something people want to hear. AKA books.
Books.
Books guy, the science guy. Books. I'm trying to move everything around because now I have less screen real estate, so that way I can see everything. Okay. I think this is the best I can do. Yeah, so for people who, if this is your first episode, welcome. I don't know if we're supposed to apologize yet, but hey, we haven't gone too crazy, and by I mean we, it's normally, history would probably say I said something.
What I was gonna say, if this is your first episode, let us know which friend, enemy, coworker, classmate
By
told you
name,
about us.
give us their phone number,
Yeah,
blood type.
For every 5 people you can get to listen to the podcast, you get one acknowledgement from us.
One acknowledgement point.
Because we were talking about bubble tea or boba before this, and there's a place I like to go, and they do like those stamp redemption things where if you buy X amount, you get one free. And every time I go, I get 2, one for me and one for Strider. And they're like, I know you have a card. I was like, I know I left it at home. So I started I've been spring cleaning, air quotes, as D-Payne can see, which might be cut out for the video. I just have piles of clean laundry behind me in various baskets.
They might see some because I don't think I can cut it all.
No, it's fine. I'm not embarrassed because it's clean laundry. So if I had a pile of just dirty laundry with stinky lines and flies all over it, I'd be like, cut that. But no.
It went full evil in their Fable playthrough, and so they got stink lines and flies. And does that bag have horns? What?
It's you see a mimic slowly forming behind me.
Yeah.
But I think I've collected 5 of the cards, and it's for every 10 you get one free. And I know I have a 6th one that I was using as a bookmark, but I couldn't find a different bookmark.
That's in the library now.
So I think I should be able to claim a free boba. But
yeah, I know me and the girlfriend have gone to one shop multiple times, and I'm like, we keep going there. We should probably see if they have you get certain
a loyalty program or yeah.
Mm-hmm. So I don't know. I might forget by the time this episode comes out, but we'll see.
What I was gonna say is another thing that might be hard for us to remember. What dice did we roll?
I was literally wondering the same thing.
Or what's that meme with the limes? I can't hold all these limes. I can't hold all these dice. Should we roll the whole set of dice and add it up for fun?
Oh man, let me bring up the calculator.
Sweats and math.
It's like, oh no. Which way is the smoke going on this electric train? No! Ooh, that might be the cold open.
If train A leaves at...
If train A leaves at such and such station going west, and the other train is going east at 365,000 miles per hour, where did the butterfly lose its rent? What?
The butterfly effect.
Let's see.
All right. So the book that you suggested, how many pages is it? I'm looking at the Wikipedia, so that's why I know the number for my book.
Hey, you know what? That might help. Let me find out.
Okay. The book for the prompt you gave me for the... Oh, we haven't told anybody. If this is your first episode here, we are doing a little series about books where we're going into oddly specific requests that we've given to each other. D-Payne has a request for me. I have a request for D-Payne. We don't know what each other has suggested until we come here and we share it with all of you. So we all learn about it at the same time. The format of this, no spoilers, spoiler-free zone. We're just talking about like a quick synopsis of the book, how we think it fits the prompt, and kind of like who we would recommend the book to. And I know I've come with like alternate suggestions that I didn't really dive into. Sounds like D-Payne also has like a backup book.
I have one.
Okay.
I'm trying to find how many pages it is, and the Wikipedia doesn't tell me. What if I go to Goodreads? Will that tell me?
That should tell you.
Get out of here, pop-ups. Oh. Okay, mine is 282 pages.
All right, mine is 336 for the edition I'd read.
Okay, so now we got to add those all up together, divide it by
I was going to say pretty close to 600, so a D6?
Okay, I think that's what we rolled last time.
Was it?
I don't know. But whatever, I have one here. I have one here.
You had one there.
I have multiple That's a D20. D6s. I'm going to roll this one because it's red. Okay. High or low?
Oh, wait, I just put away my D6 and I confused myself.
You know what? I'm going to say, judging off of what these prompts are, let's do low.
My mental state, what? I took a nap today, I'm fine. Oh, I threw it off the table. Oh, I think I'm going first.
What did you roll?
This many.
A 7?
On a D6. Hacking. I rolled a 1.
I rolled a 4. I will write your name in for who went first. We're tied.
Yeah. It is going to be interesting keeping track of that again. We just forgot to do it when we had guests.
Yeah. I don't know. It's one of my favorite things. Just to see who did good.
Yeah. Okay.
So what was your prompt that you had to work with?
Yes. So D-Payne gave to me a book that builds a desire to burrow deep into a hibernation cave. So, I thought...
Oh, wait. Don't we start 20-minute timer? Is that what we said?
Oh, yeah, to be fair.
Yeah, because I know us. We'll just keep going and then be like, oh, it's been 2 hours. Yes. Yeah. All right. You can start talking. I'll just start the timer and let you know when it's done.
Okay. So I thought of a couple different ways to interpret this prompt. Part of me was like, I kind of thought about it like seasonally, because like hibernation tends to be like winter energy where you don't want to go outside, and also bears hibernate in the winter. And you also said cave. So I think I leaned more towards that. But then I also considered, what if I pick like books that made me feel like super sad? Like so sad that I was like, I don't deserve sunlight. I need to be I need to be hidden from all feelings. I will say I went more seasonal than just the feelings. So my runner-ups for super sad books for me, apologies for coughing, sorry audio listeners,
that's extra on the Patreon.
Kokoro, that one, it's been a little bit since I read it. It's a bit of an older book, but the thing that makes me a lot more sad for that book, the TLDR on it, I won't spend too long on these extra books, TLDR on Kokoro, is that the main character is like a young guy who is going to college in Japan. I forget if he's in Tokyo City or like in a region right outside of it, but he's not really feeling fulfilled by going to school. Runs into a guy who seems pretty affluent, and he's like, look, I look up to you. And the guy that he's looking up to is like an older guy, I think he's elderly at the point that they meet. And he's like, you shouldn't look up to me. I'm like, literally, if you look up the definition of depressed in the dictionary, it's me. And then the guy's like, what could you be so sad about? You have all these books. And he's like, do you know how I got these books? Because the connection is like the author is the elderly guy in the story, because the author was in Japan when they were first trying to get Western studies into Japan. And the author, I believe, was like really great at language and diction and stuff. They were like, oh, we're going to send you to London and you can be our liaison for English studies. He's like, okay, well, I didn't really have much of a life here. I was given up by my parents, and then my adoptive parents gave me back. So he's like, I'm going to go to London.
Goes so to London. Bad at being adopted that they sent me back.
Yeah, right. So he goes to London, becomes massively depressed because he has zero support system. And Londoners are like, who is this guy? I'm not going to be friends with him. I've never met anybody like him before. So he's really smart, and then comes back to Japan. When he comes back, Japan's like, actually, we don't want to teach English in our schools. And he's like, what am I doing this for? So it's just a very sad thing, because you can really tell that the elderly character is like so sad that he starts bringing down the younger guy, and the guy, I believe the elderly guy's wife is like, you need to stop ruining things for him. He still has hope, like that kind of thing. Then
crush him.
And then the other one, I believe you also listened to, Payne, Minor Detail, and that's the one with.
Oh, I thought there was more, and I'm like,
no. The title is Minor Detail.
Yes, I have listened to that.
And I won't say too much about that story. I will say trigger warnings, because it's set in like Palestine.
Literal trigger warning.
Palestine and Israel, and there's a lot of, I guess in the context of this book, they're not war crimes, they're just very terrible things. It's not on the scope of a war crime in that of current world events, but the ending of the book had me just staring out a window, and people were like, hey, you want to hang out? I was like, no. Not really, no.
Yeah.
Like, I don't even know how to encapsulate how sad that book just made me.
I'm trying to, like, I know the words I want to say, but if people who read the book will make it sound like I'm making fun of it. So, which I'm not, but it's, I just hit my desk. It is definitely, it's not a big read. I think it's
like maybe a 2 or 3 hour audiobook. It's very it's very snippy.
Yeah, I think it was about like a 3 hour, if that. It might have been like 2 and change, but it moves pretty quick, and you're just like, oh, oh no,
please, oh no, yeah. But yeah, so I didn't go that route of just feeling. So I went with winter themed.
Okay, I'm glad I did not make a prompt that I was going to get a call from your therapist to be like, what did you do? Oh, I don't know what I did. Who are you?
So 2 of the books I considered for the winter theme. One, I guess I'll call this the actual runner-up, is The Great Alone. The Great Alone is a historical fiction about a family, and the main character is a young girl as her father, post-Vietnam, decides that they're gonna protect themselves from changing America by moving to Alaska. But they're, like, woefully unprepared. They move during the summer. Summer is, like, in Alaska, has a lot of sunshine. It's very comfortable. You can actually, like, farm and grow stuff. But the main character is, like, starts to hear warnings about what it's like when it turns to winter, where they're like, I know your dad is, like, a Vietnam vet. I hope he doesn't have night terrors, because Alaska has a lot of darkness. And it gets really easy to become very, like, depressed in this type of setting. And guess what happens? But yeah, so she's dealing with the fact that they're incredibly unprepared for life in Alaska, and how the cold and the isolation and all that start to pile up.
So that's the cold did bother him anyway?
It really did. And then my actual suggestion for this prompt, now that I've gone through like a whole bunch of books, The Bear and the Nightingale. This is, I believe, is it young adult? Let me double check I don't want to misspeak. Yes, it's a young adult kind of historical fantasy, and the reason I think it gets given the historical thing is that it's based a lot on Russian mythology.
Okay.
So there's a lot of talks about like the winter getting a lot colder, and how the change in Russia from believing in kind of like natural spirits and being able to pay homage to spirits in like, leaving little like morsels of food for, say, like the spirit of the hearth to help keep your house warm. They moved from that to starting to become Orthodox Christians. So this book is kind of like in that time frame where they have the main character is a young girl who can actually see the spirits, and she's like, "Oh yes, we need to make sure to like leave things for them and things like that." And she's kind of like a connection for the people in the village and these deities that are like looking to protect them as long as they acknowledge them. They bring in. She basically gets like an evil stepmother kind of energy who comes into the house, and she's very much raised in the city, very much an Orthodox Christian. She can also see them, but sees them as demons. So she's like, don't leave them food, kick them out of the house, blah, 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 blah. And then the village is like, oh, it's so cold, our fires won't work, we're really low on food, what's happening? Things weren't this bad before. So then it's kind of like that aspect of a time in Russia. So I went with this one, I think, because they literally talk about the deity of winter and how he's like, I think he has a brother, and the brother of winter. Again, I could be misremembering. If you are experts in Russian mythology, please correct me. But essentially, he has a brother, and Winter's brother wants to bring either chaos or destruction or something like that. And then you have Winter himself. And the two forces are starting to fight around this village. And, oh no, which... Okay. I wasn't sure if I was going to get an elf dancing gif. Like, not the elf, but elf.
Mm-hmm. No, but put one foot in front of the other. I also tried to write the title of the thing, and I remembered the first part, and then I just tried my best because I couldn't remember the second half of the title.
This one. So now you get to copy paste.
I wrote the bear and the John.
I have not read the rest of this. I do know it's part of a trilogy. I got recommended this by my library because, like, I gave them a list of books I like to read. And this is one of the three that they were like, oh, you might like this. So I read it. I thought it was pretty solid. I think for me, I would have liked it more if it went more into the Russian mythology. Like, because it's not to say, like, this is encapsulating all of young adult books. I read quite a bit of young adult now. But I think the message in the story is lent more towards a younger audience. So me reading it, I'm like, yep, yeah, I could see that message coming a mile away. Mm-hmm. An important message for people that are probably reading it at like an age closer to the main character. But yeah, so I kind of did the first two bullets. How much time do I have left? So my 20-minute timer.
You got just like 9 minutes.
9 minutes. All right. So I would say I would recommend this to anyone who generally is a fan of fantasy that borrows a lot from local mythology. I think it's a really cool way to learn about myths without it being very, like, dense. Because I found when sometimes I want to learn more about mythology, I'll look up things and they end up being more like textbook. So it's like, in the year of blah, 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 AD is when they first have evidence of drawings of, and I'm like, boring.
When Locke got in his chariot. The Locke is this year's cell.
But yeah, so I think this is a really, like, stories like these are a really cool way to see how mythology and the cultural identity of a place are, like, really intrinsic to each other. Especially given that it's set in a time frame where you have the literal, like, kind of embodiments of the big social changes of the time, that is, like, believing in the natural world and wanting to pay homage to it as much as possible, versus the more rigid, like, orthodox views of, you know, it's kind of like the discussions that I see in books when it comes to, like, colonization, where they're like, oh yeah, you could respect nature, or everything that this guy at the church says. The guy at the church says, I'll find salvation, so just listen to that guy.
Oh, no.
He's asking me to do a lot of things that go against everything I was taught, but he's the guy at the church.
Yeah. He also has a beard.
He reads.
said the peasant in the 1600s. What could go wrong?
But yeah, and in some ways, this also, the other thing I remember liking about Bear and the Nightingale, I think I read this last year. Yeah, I want to say it was last year. The other thing that I liked about it is parts of it read almost like a fairy tale. So, while I said, like, the message overall I felt like was for a younger audience, like, not necessarily a message that I, at the time, needed to hear, I did like that it was presented in a way that it felt like a fairy tale, where it was, not as, like, cut and dry and say, like, Snow White, but you do still have the main character kind of slowly learning and discovering and trying to find out where she lands in all of this, like, mythology, and where she's important in being able to save her village, but told in, like, a cautionary way, where even though she's got to kind of be that liaison to help out with things, the mythical people that she talks to are not always good guys, and they're a little bit complex. Kind of like generally like winter, like, oh, winter's important because it renews everything for the following year, but winter is very cruel and makes me want to go into a hibernation cave and never come out. But, like, you know, winter can be extremely harsh, but winter can also do a lot of good. So in that fairy tale-esque way, where it's like, there are consequences to your actions and not everything is clean, but there's a reason everything, you know, ends up having to play out this way, even though it sucks right now. There's, like, things you gotta consider. So I did appreciate that, because there are some other young adult fantasies I'll read, and they're like, all right, main character, win. And they're like, okay.
Did I do it? Maybe.
And I mean, that's also true of, like, other things. Like, I was telling a friend that I think I might have gotten past my shonen phase in anime, where I'm like, how many times can the young man be overpowered and, like, still cry?
And if they get far enough, they talk a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not saying I hate the genre. It's just I think I've grown past my phase, because there's some that, like, there's some recent releasing anime that I know a lot of people like, and I'll go and start it, and I go, I know where it's going, because I've seen this general thread line already.
Yeah. I'll throw one under the bus that I heard a lot of people talk about, and I think a lot of people like it because it's pretty. The Demon something. Forgot its name.
Demon Slayer?
Yeah,
I do. There are aspects of Demon Slayer that I like, but there are also tropes in it that I'm like, it didn't need to be in here. Yeah. I know it's, like, part of the genre, but, like...
Yeah. I don't know. I haven't really watched a lot of it. The last anime I watched was Erased.
And that was because of me.
Yeah. Well, it was a good suggestion. It's still the only one I'm like, I would watch this again. I would watch the live action. I would watch either one of those again for the podcast. I said it. I know I told Hop, but I'm putting it out there live.
It's a shame we already have what we want to watch for the winter, because that would be a perfect winter.
Hey, you know what's really cool? The winter still happens 2 months after our plan that we wrote. And
that is also true.
It's not. Yeah, make that our Christmas thing.
But yeah, so if you like fantasy, if you like mythology, if you don't mind a younger main character, if you like fairy tales, I would recommend this book. It's a little bit, for me, some of the pacing in it I also felt was a little weird, where in the beginning it is a little bit like tough to get into because it's kind of flowery and fairy tale-esque on how you're introduced to the world. And then it gets a little bit slower as the main character is trying to figure out herself and things, which is fine. And then at the end, it's like balls to the wall. And I was like, okay, wait, did I miss a page? But overall, I think still a good story.
Mm-hmm.
How much time do I got left on the timer?
You got 3 minutes.
Oh, I thought I used up all my time. Well, the last thing I'll say is I haven't read the rest of the trilogy, so I can't speak to it. I have started the first book in a ton of fantasy trilogies and not gotten to the second one in any of them. That's my personality trait.
Now I'm sticking to it.
It annoys friends because they're like, oh, we read the first one together. I want to finally read the second one. And I'm like, oh, I'll get to it.
Yeah,
Doesn't get to it.
I have a couple friends who are starting a book read of, I think, like the first and second book of Dune. Hold on, they were posting it in there, and they're like, they used like Chat GPT to give them like a reading plan. And I was like looking at it, and I'm like, where'd it go?
Kind of like a book club thing, like by this day have this many pages.
Yeah, so like week 1, they're reading chapter 1 through 8. Week 2, 9 through 16. Oh, maybe this just is the first book. It is the first book.
The first book is like 500 pages anyway.
Yeah. Which I was like confused because they're like, I didn't remember. I used to have it behind me, but I think I put all my books together. I didn't realize there was 3 sections, and it's been years since I've read Dune.
I have a physical copy somewhere, but I don't know where it is anymore.
I know where mine is. I just don't feel like getting up.
That's fine. Plus, my timer's up, so it's probably your turn.
You have 1 minute and 30 seconds, which is probably closer to a minute.
Well, I give up my time and allow it to you, deep.
Okay, let me figure out how to do this.
Reset it.
Okay. And now I hit start. Okay. So my prompt from Hop was a book that's perfect for you when you need to force yourself to stop rotting in bed.
We got our opposites.
Yes, it was. I may have wrote that second my prompt after I saw the first one. I don't think they're all opposites of each other, but it's weird. They like kind of fit from a quick glance. But I do have a runner up for this because I think this is a fun book. It's an easy read. I know a lot of people have read this book who don't normally read. I have it right here. It's got hardness.
No, I didn't know we were that kind of podcast, but okay.
Yes, the book is The Martian by Andy Weir.
I haven't read it. I have a physical copy that I got for like $1 somewhere.
Mm-hmm. I don't remember where I got this book, but it is a really neat book. If you guys have watched it,
well?
Yes,
Yeah.
it is a movie with Matt Damon. In short, the whole prompt of it is team goes to Mars, even though technically this wouldn't have happened on Mars because there isn't enough atmosphere for the inciting event. But they land on Mars, they're doing their thing, and then this storm comes in, which while everyone's trying, and which forces them to have to evacuate. And so all the astronauts, they kind of get in the thing, but then it's been a while, and I'm trying to make sure I'm not getting the movie mixed up with the book, but whatever, the main character, I can't remember his name, but anyway, there's something where he gets like delayed, or he's trying to get something, and he gets cut off, and everything that all the astronauts and ground control can see is that he died. And so the people come up, and like the astronauts are flying back, and then lo and behold, the guy who they thought was dead was actually he survived, and I think it's almost like a year that he has to spend on Mars, and it's just his whole like survival, what like he has to do to like make sure he has food, and then it's like how can I communicate with the people at ground control, and so like it shows like the different sides of it. It shows the media side of it, to where they're like NASA's like, we can't let like how long do we have before we got to release these photos, because when Andy Weir was writing this, it was all like I think he was writing it like as a diary online, and then he started having like NASA people and like astrophysicists and like all this stuff like chime in for like what would happen and stuff within space, and so like he was using all that. And I believe this book, if I remember correctly, is what like really helped kickstart a lot of interest in space programs in the US again, because like at the time there really wasn't anything, and then now it seems like anyone with too much money is has a space program. But hey, there could be worse things they're spending it on. Maybe better. But that is not my book. I remember I was telling Hop when we were planning on, I was like, hey, if we can push this recording back a little bit, because there's a book that I have that I want to read, and it might be my my option for this because of everything I heard about it. And spoilers, it is a book called Endurance: Shackleton's Incredible Journey. I'll post the wiki here for you. Oh, that is not our that's not our DMs.
Just send a book randomly.
Yes. Yes. So this book came out in 1959, written by Alfred Lansing. And what's really neat about this book is that it's a true story. And the whole thing is pretty much there's this crew on this ship on the Endurance that is trying to cross the Antarctic continent back in 1914. And it's like they don't make it. Like the ship, which they call Endurance, gets stuck in the ice floes. And
question.
Yeah.
Is this what the Terror was based on?
I don't know. Because the Terror...
I can't remember what year the Terror was.
I think the Terror... I don't know. That's... Oops.
I can look that up.
Yeah,
you can keep talking.
I wouldn't be surprised, but there's a lot of books that are like this. But it's like one of these books where it's all true. They actually take excerpts of people's journals that they recover. They have pictures from I got distracted. Fictionalized account of Sir John Franklin's lost expedition. I think...
Yeah, the Terror is from 1845.
Yes.
So.
And I think the Terror went to the northeast. They tried to do I think they went north. Mm-hmm. These guys went south.
Okay.
And the Endurance was the last ship trying to do one of these. Because even in the beginning of the book, they mentioned, like, hey, Shackleton was trying to get funding and trying to get the approval. And people are starting to drag their feet. And then it's just like a line where it's just like, and then Germany and England and everyone started having some armed arguments, aka World War I was starting. So they're like
armed arguments.
Yeah, I think that's how they put it. Some way that was just like, that's World War I. They're just kindly just but yeah, they're just he gets the approval from the Queen. And they're just like, sweet, peace. And they just pretty much as soon as then go down to do that trip. But like they get stuck on the way, and then it's the real events of just how they survive. Because pretty much they they go in and then they're like stuck there. The Terror was also a book that I was thinking about adding to this list, but I didn't want to do two of the same things. One is definitely fictional, and I don't really doesn't, it didn't like fit the prompt the best for me. But it goes into like a lot of stuff where like things that you don't like, at least I don't think about with stuff like this, and it's just everything the crew had to do to survive. Like and it's pretty interesting because like they have to like, it starts off with like, okay, here's the ship, and like each section of their journey is its own like little chapter to the point, and just the insane things they had to do to survive to make sure there. So it's like pretty much it starts off with like, hey, here's our trip down, and they had to go and like dig out like supplies while the Endurance was slowly getting shoved under ice, and they kept having to like move away, and then but then it also came down to like like Shackleton was very much like, all right, well, let's see, how are we gonna split up tents? These three people are troublemakers, so they're gonna be in the tent with me and my first mate, so that way they'll behave, and then everyone else is a little bit mild, is like chill enough where we don't have to super worry about them, and like just going on from there. But something that cracked me up, because it's like it's in the first chapter of how like nobody in this ship, like the crew, was technically like qualified for their job.
Good.
So Shackleton, when I was reading this, really reminded me of how Luffy gathers his crew in One Piece. He's just like, I like you. You can do this. And they're like, okay. And they were saying that normally when people would get these crews for their expeditions, it would be like interviews, questions, and all this stuff. And Shackleton would just sit down there, have like a 5 to 10 minute conversation, and just like, you look like you can do navigation. And then it's like the next line is like, the person never did navigation in their life or something like that. Or no, it was doctor. It was like, you look like you'd be a good doctor. And it's like, the man was never a doctor, but as soon as he got the approval, he went to school for like the year and got like a quick medical degree and stuff. And just like the basics of all that. And it's like, that's how his like whole crew was built. Of just like, you look like this, or I like the cut of your jib. You're on my crew. And it's like,
good vibes.
yes.
Thank you.
Which worked well for him, like from what they were saying. It's just like how everybody, like, attitudes for the most part were very like well put together. But like even he wasn't like a sea captain. I don't think he really had any naval experience. I think he was just how they described him was like, he really wanted to do it because he got bored. And they're like, so he kept bothering anybody until he
was
had.
Was he a rich guy then?
He because it's real quick in the beginning of. I don't think he was rich, but he was one of those people that like give him enough time, he can convince you to be like, this is a good idea.
Okay.
And so, and that really played well because like he, like pretty much through the whole trip, like he, like his high spirits and like it's like we can do this is really what kept a lot of the people going. Mm-hmm. Like, and I don't want to spoil it because it isn't a super long read, and it does go pretty, like it does go into detail about different stuff. I will say there are some things I would say as a trigger warning in this book, because they do have a bunch of sled dogs, which just due to a point where they don't have food, it doesn't go into detail, like grisly detail, but it does talk about like how they like the
survive.
Yeah, like I'll just say they had to kill the dogs, and
Yeah.
but it focuses more on like the emotional toll it took on the men, because at that point like those dogs were like puppies when they had them, and Shackleton
they had them this whole
and Shackleton's like, we don't have enough food, like, And then there's like one point where like they did have enough food, and he's like, no, we have to get rid of them because we have enough food now, but we won't have enough food if we keep everything, like keep all the animals. And so there's that. And then like there are some like times of like when they talk about like hunting animals and stuff. So if like it doesn't go into detail, but it's like the absurd amount of like animals that they hunt to survive is like mind-boggling. Like for example, this is kind of a little bit later in the, I think like kind of near the middle of the book. It's like they were all hungry and they didn't know what they do. And so that what to do. So they woke up one day and there was just this flock of penguins, and they went out and killed 83 penguins and had food. And I'm like, what? Yeah, and it's like that's just the line. It's like they woke up, they killed 83 penguins, and then and they could have gotten more, but it was they just didn't have enough like space on the whatever that they had. And then they woke up the next day and they were all gone. Like they all just left because it was in their migration path.
Okay.
Yeah, no, they didn't kill them all. But it was just like I remember sitting there at work and it's just like they killed 8. I'm like, what? How many?
How big was the crew at that point?
The whole crew was only like 26 people.
Why did they need 80?
I don't know. I don't know. But to be fair, at this point they were like did not have food for like almost a week. Okay. So like
I'd hope that they're good at preserving, because it does seem extremely like
yeah it does seem excessive, but like most, I think a good I don't, it doesn't really say how big the penguins are, but like it does go in, it almost feels a little bit like Oregon Trail at some points, because they're like a sea lion jumped out of the ice and almost ate like some dude or the crew. They shot it and had 5,000 pounds of meat. I'm like, how heavy are those dudes? And
so are you gonna be the guy? So now that like people crave games like Oregon Trail, are you gonna make the prompts basically Oregon Trail, but Antarctic travel, and you're stuck? Do you shoot the seal? Yes.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, it's a choose your own adventure book. A flock of penguins has come across. What do you do? Oh.
They go hunt them. You killed 153, yeah. And the player's like, oh.
Yeah, roll a die. But I will say, I know like that's the big trigger warning, like of hunting stuff. Like it doesn't go into like the grisly detail of it. Like the most detail it goes into, because it's in the Arctic, and they're like, yep, they didn't have gloves, so, or like their gloves were so wet because at this point it's summertime in the Arctic, and so like the ice is becoming snow and slush, and so like everything that they would use to keep them warm is like soaked and everything. So they're like, yeah, it was nice because like while they were cleaning and taking care of after their hunts, that's like the warmth of the body defrosted their hands. And I'm like, cool.
Great. I totally want to do this trip too.
Yeah. There's a reason why this was the last one. But no, it's and then like just the last like chunk of the book of just like what they do, because like they get discovered at the like, it's a true story. It's the only way they know this happened. So there's a point where they like have to get back into civilization, and the things that like Shackleton and his men have to do to like even like people almost 50 years later with like better technology taking their time, they're like, I don't know how they were able to do this in such a short time and not die. So yeah, it was a really good book. It was short, and it's just like part of me is like as I started like reading it in certain parts, I'm like, I wouldn't mind doing a transatlantic, and then it's like, nope. I would die. Okay. It's like, there's a reason why I was born in the 20th century, because I would die.
So who would you recommend this book to?
I think if you like history, but it's not like it's a historical. It is history, but it's, as you were saying, like with it's the mythology is like back in the ancient times when the Egyptians summoned clay. It's like whatever. It's like, what does this have to do? It's very
Like active history.
it is active history, yeah, and it's everything you can look up and see like what's true, what's false, but yeah, it, or not false, but like just everything is on there. So it's but it's also like it goes into detail of like things that we wouldn't have to like even think about for like keeping a ship buoyant and just keeping warm and just different things. So if you like survival stories, I think this would be a good one. If you like hit like certain histories that just like kind of a snapshot into history at a certain point, I would say this is a good one. Or if you just if you like Master and Commander, but it's in the Arctic and there's only one boat. And instead of chasing another boat, they're chasing civilization. So, but yeah, I don't know. It's I would say that's who I would recommend it to. It's a pretty easy read, and so. And it's also neat because like I can't remember if I mentioned this, but it was like I think I did, but they're talking about it, and as they're going into the detail of like the Alfred Lansing does a really good job of like explaining what is happening and the conditions of the ship and everything, and you're like, okay, and then he's like, and then this crewman wrote this in their diary, and it's just like saying what is happening, like pretty much like the actual emotions and feelings that some of the men are having, because there's like some diary entries that they read, or journal entries, whatever they want to call it, where it's just like, today was a rough day, and it cuts off there because it's like, yeah, that cut off because the sheet of ice they were on split right down the middle of the camp, and everyone had to run out and pull everything over to their side.
Fun.
Yeah, so it's...
I would simply not survive.
To be fair, I don't think they would let you on the trip.
Well, given the time.
Given the time.
But if I were a young, able-bodied man in the 1950s, I simply would not survive.
I don't know what I think this shows that I have a 3 or 4-year-old niece. And he said, if I was, and then my brain finished a young warthog. But no, it is a fun book. It's a neat snapshot in history, and
yeah, I can see where that book definitely is one of those like, oh, they could survive and do it. Yeah, you can get out of bed.
Yes. So that was my prompt, and that was my answer. So, but yeah, as we draw to a close to this episode,
yeah, so to recap, D-Payne asked me for a book that builds a desire to burrow deep into a hibernation cave, and I gave The Bear and the Nightingale. And D-Payne was given a book that's perfect for when you need to force yourself to stop rotting in bed, and he suggested Endurance, Shackleton's Incredible Voyage. Mm-hmm. Kind of cool that it's like we both went like kind of like historical-esque books. Mine's a fiction, but...
Well, it's like when you started just like explaining your mindset or the thoughts you're having, it's just like, I was thinking this, and I was like, I could have literally been like, here's my depression reads, and it would have just been like a Twitter newsfeed. But yeah, but then it's just like we both went into winter. But I think Hop is being called soon, so we will have to end this episode. Did we want to
so that was
share
the
rehashing?
Prompts? Yeah, we can share the next prompt.
I don't remember what we did in the first episode of this, so
we're figuring it out as we go.
By the time we get to episode 6, we will know what we're doing.
All right, so read your prompt for me.
All right, so my prompt for Hop is a book that challenges you to stretch the boundaries of space and time.
And that just sounds like that one movie, Interstellar, which I haven't seen.
Wow.
And the prompt I'm giving D-Payne is a book that gives you the same existential feeling as rolling a nat 1 in an important D&D fight.
I forgot about the last part of that. I just feeling of a nat 1. I'm like,
Sometimes that's fun.
yeah. But then like the other part of me is just thinking of Kawakami's books. I'm like, that would be it pretty much. And then it was like in an important D&D fight. And I'm like, okay, well, time to go through my whatever thing I catalog my book reading.
We might have you might be able to suggest a book I recently finished that you've also read. War book?
War book.
I was messaging you saying that I cried 3 times to a
Oh,
book.
yes. I was like, war book? What
That
are you
book is
talking
full
about?
of people
Yes.
rolling out ones.
Yeah. I'm stealing that. It's going to get a mention.
I won't be mad if you use it, but
I'll have to give it a thought. I didn't even think of that. So, but now I but no.
Tune in next week
Yeah.
to find out what we pick for each other.
Yeah, that's it. Bye. As all good novels end. How do I end this record? There it is.